Good evening, my Real News Media TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for November 21, 2023. And in the news this evening, Petersfield high in mourning after 2 students die in motorcycle crash. Petersfield High School in Westmoreland is in mourning after 2 students died in a crash involving a motorcycle and a car on the Galloway Main Road on Tuesday morning. The students have been identified as 16-year-old Johnny Robinson and 14-year-old Zakil McIntyre. The police say one of the boys was riding the motorcycle. Assistant Commissioner Gary McKenzie, head of the Public Safety and the Traffic Enforcement Branch, said about 6:45 a.m. the students were traveling on a motorcycle from Whithorn en route to school. The rider failed to negotiate a corner at the intersection of Shrewsbury and the Petersfield Main Road and crashed into the oncoming car. As a result of the collision, the vehicles enveloped into flames, and unfortunately, both students died as a result of it. The driver of the motorcar suffered minor injuries, ACP McKenzie reported.
As a result of the collision, the vehicles enveloped into flames, and unfortunately, both students died as a result of it. The driver of the motorcar suffered minor injuries. This particular crash we regard as being very unfortunate because these students are not, in fact, no student at that age should be driving a motorcycle. A person driving a motorcycle requires a driver's license, and unfortunately we continue to see incidents where students drive these motorcycles and oftentimes they are involved in crashes and suffer very serious injuries. Our investigation has to find out how they came by this motorcycle. So, of course, we will find out who is the owner of the motorcycle, how they came by the motorcycle, and certainly other investigations will follow. So if we find that an adult is culpable in terms of giving an underage student the motorcycle to drive, then they will bear some consequences.
This brings to 3 the number of students from Petersfield High who have died in traffic crashes in less than 2 weeks. 15-year-old Lavicia Forrester, a 4th form student, who was among 5 people killed in the November 13 crash on the Bluefields Main Road in Westmoreland. Vice Principal of Petersfield High School, J. Anthony Clark, said the school population is devastated by the latest tragedy. Mr. Clark, who visited the crash site, appealed to parents and caregivers to adhere to the school's no motor vehicle policy.
Students are not allowed to ride to school or to drive to school, but oftentimes these students would drive or ride their bikes and park it within the community and then walk to school. And it's just very sad knowing that they were on their way to school and they would have met in an accident and lost their life. The school board, the administration of the school, the PTA, the student body, we're all in mourning, and we send our condolences to the family and relatives of these 2 students who would have lost their lives this morning.
Third attempt at finding missing fisherman believed to have drowned at a Negril hotel. Following 2 days of unsuccessful search for the body of a fisherman from St. Anne, who is suspected to have drowned after saving his companion in Negril on Sunday, the Westmoreland police will be making a 3rd attempt at finding the body. The man has been identified as a 32-year-old Paul Norris, a fisherman of Park Avenue, St. Anne's Bay address. Norris and his common-law spouse had been staying at a hotel located at the West End in Negril since Friday. They reportedly went to a nearby bar when the incident took place. Police reports are that at about 10:20 a.m., Norris and his common-law spouse were at a bar near the cliffs overlooking the sea, taking pictures when a strong wave knocked the woman into the water. Norris reportedly jumped into the water to assist her, but was swept away by strong currents. Another male who saw what was happening jumped into the water and assisted the woman with the help of the Marine Police, who were quick on the scene. The woman and the man who rescued her were taken to the Negril Fire Department, where they were evaluated by the emergency medical technicians. The police and the people in the area searched the waters on Sunday, followed by an all-day search on Monday, but their efforts were futile. Last Monday afternoon, Zone 4 Commander in charge of Little London and the Negril Police District, Deputy Superintendent of Police Sean J. Mitchell, told the news that the search will continue for as long as it takes. Hopefully we will come up with something soon, and we are kind of hoping that it does not wash up on any of the beaches in the area, stated DSP Mitchell, who noted that the likelihood of finding the man alive is diminishing as the minutes and hours go by. 14 Jamaicans suspected of trying to cross the Mexico border deported from Belize. A group of 14 Jamaicans was sent home from Belize on the weekend on suspicion that they planned to use the country as a getaway to Mexico and then the United States. The 11 adults and the 3 children were kept in detention for 1 week. The adults were brought to court on Friday on a charge of willfully supplying false declarations to an immigration officer. The charge was subsequently dropped after the Jamaicans indicated that they were willing to return home. It is reported that on the night of November 10, the Jamaicans were intercepted near San Pedro village in Corozal, a few miles from the Mexican border. They were spotted by the police in the back of a pickup truck. When the police stopped the truck, the driver ran into bushes, leaving the Jamaicans to fend for themselves. Their attorney, Norman Rodriguez, told Belize media that they were detained after they indicated on immigration forms that they had itineraries for rooms at different hotels in Belize and at the Keys, but when found were not at those places. FID confirms widespread offline point-of-sale fraud. The Financial Investigations Division has confirmed that cases of fraud using point-of-sale card machines on an offline basis are widespread in Jamaica. The Sunday Gleaner reported that multiple fraudulent schemes uncovered in recent months have left a number of Jamaican banking institutions and their customers counting their losses. Several people have already been arrested and charged in relation to the scheme. Director of Legal Services at the FID, Courtney Smith, has conceded that the illicit activity has implications for the financial sector. Mr. Smith, who spoke with the news on Monday, said that people found to be involved in the fraudulent activity could be slapped with multiple charges.
Well, just by looking at it, you view that it can amount to money laundering, possession of criminal property, entering arrangements involving criminal property, concealing criminal property. Those are the major ones. Separate and apart from the everyday fraud, obtaining by false pretenses and so on, but we're focused on the big ticket items, the money laundering, the engaging in these transactions involving criminal property, possession of criminal property, etc.
Dane Nicholson, chairman of the Anti-Fraud Committee of the Jamaica Bankers Association, who also spoke with the news, said the average consumer is not affected by this fraud. He said it is usually unscrupulous merchants collude who are involved in the illicit activity.
This is not necessarily a consumer fraud where you have like a regular customer at the bank who will be impacted and losing money. This is primarily a fraud that's perpetrated on the merchant side, where you have merchants, businesses who have point-of-sale machines who collude with fraudsters. So it's not the day-to-day retail banking customers that are impacted. So the merchant must have to agree or be outrightly negligent in how they are handling the transaction to not detect that something is wrong with the processing. So one, they must put the terminal in our offline mode. There are certain keys on the terminals that they are going to select to put it in our offline mode. And then they are going to have to either manually input the full 16-digit expiry date, authorization code, and all of those things, the amount that is associated with the transaction. The receipt that the point of sale would normally dispense, it also have in bold written on it offline, so it would jump out at any normal individual who process these transactions.
53-year-old man accused of having sex with a minor freed by St. Catherine jury. A jury in the St. Catherine Circuit Court on Monday returned a not guilty verdict for a man who was accused of having sex with a then 11-year-old girl in the tenement yard they shared. The 53-year-old man was freed of sexual touching and having sexual intercourse with a person under 16 years old. The case was tried over a week and saw several witnesses, including a medical doctor, being called. Justice Bertram Morrison summed up the case and handed it over to the jury, which retired for 60 minutes and returned a unanimous verdict. The man was subsequently told that he was free to go. Allegations were that in 2019, the man who lived in the same tenement yard as the complainant sexually assaulted her. The matter was reported to the Police's Center for Investigation of Sexual Offenses and Child Abuse. An investigation was launched, and the man was subsequently arrested and charged with sexual touching and having sexual intercourse with a person under 16 years old. He made numerous court appearances and maintained his innocence throughout.